What is happening, you guys? It's your boy LDAWB coming at you with a new video, and today we're going to talk about somebody unique. And I'm swaying from a Capcom artist for a second, and I am retorting to a very special artist, a very special artist for the Final Fantasy series. Now, I've mentioned that Tetsuya Nomura is in fact the most influential artist amongst others, but I cannot ignore this gentleman. I cannot ignore this artist and the overall impact that he has contributed to the series. And so we are talking of none other than the great Yoshitaka Amano, and we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive on how I was introduced to him and talk about his impact. And again, it's not as big as Tetsuya, but it's as important. So right here, we're starting right at Final Fantasy 9. Final Fantasy 9, the Art of Final Fantasy 9, if you guys are aware of that book, is how I was really introduced to his work. And obviously in the book had these really illustrious, beautiful pieces of artwork with the enemies, and in fact Final Fantasy 9, I have to get that artist right, but the artist was in charge of doing most of the designs for FF9, as you can see here, and he's an unsung hero in my opinion. Now, I thought that Akihiko was the one who did these illustrations, but I'm going to talk about him. I'm going to talk about him in another video. But going back into this book really was really the genesis of how I looked into Yoshitaka Amano's artwork, and it was through this book. And yeah, as you can see here, his illustrations were incorporated in the book, and it was the first time that I paid attention to his work. Now, I knew that he did Final Fantasy back then, but this was interesting. I had seen his work on 7, 8, and up until this point, I noticed that there was something about his work that had a theme. You know, you may say it may be a flowy, graceful theme, but I really liked his interpretations of these characters and their real life proportions, and very curious to see how it would appear to be in the game. And obviously I like the deformed characters, but I liked his take. I really liked this take. I love his aesthetic. I remember during this phase in my life that I actually wanted to copy the vibe, copy the flow, copy the grace, copy that kind of aesthetic in my own artwork, and doing some of the artworks and line art like him. Now, I think his artwork too obviously was very unique, obviously was very different, but his artwork is very much like a Japanese old style drawing. You know, their faces are white, you can see the features on their face, and there's a certain flow to it. And I'll get into what I really feel his work really is, if I had to really put it in one word. But here's another illustration of Vivi, very decked out, very, you know, over the top, but I loved it. I just loved his take on all of these characters, not diminishing the main character designer, because I really liked his artwork. I really did. And not to, you know, throw you under the bus, you're still great. But Yoshitaka Amano's, this was kind of my real introduction to him, and this is when I started to look at this, and then I started to go back and then forward, and then I started to understand where he came from, see his older works, and really just just overwhelm myself with his work. And I think, going back to what I said, if I had to describe his work in one word, it would be energy. It would be like water. Like his artwork is water and energy, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it's just energy. You could feel the pieces. They may not be the most technical, body proportionary, in your face like the Capcom artists did, for me anyway. But his overall composition was what made me gravitate to his work. It was just the other elements outside of the characters. I'm a character designer. I love character design. It's just the trees, the background, the castle, the elegance. Here's Vampire Hunter D. Of course, this thing is oozing with his design, his aesthetic, and you can see it everywhere. You can see it on the moon. You can see it in the trees, and in the one, the drapes with the woman, and then the horse, and just the details. And obviously, this one too with FF10 is grace. There's a flow. There's energy, and it's unique. Like I said, the Capcom artists for me were pivotal for, form and body form. But Amano's work was very much in the energy realm. And I have noticed that some artists as of late, and I know this and I see this, they have picked up on this vibe as well. And I'll mention who they are in a later video, but there's a classic FF7 take on Amano's take on Cloud and the rest of the gang. And I love his sense of dark blacks and his sense of just the rough. I keep saying raw. I know it's your favorite word or my favorite word, but it's true. It's not perfect. It just flows like water. And here's Furion from FF2. I really do like his energy. I really do like his flow a whole lot here. And here's another one of my favorites of his work. I know he's done many of them, but FF4, I think his iconic take on Cecil and his dark counterpart is a great example of his work, in my opinion. And obviously, I can't go without saying my favorite logo design. I love the FF14 one, but my favorite is the Final Fantasy X logo with Yuna, the summoner. And going back to what I was saying with water, it makes sense because there's water. There's little water in the background. And I feel like this really does the game and the flow and the movement justice. Yeah, I like 10. 10 was amazing. But I wanted to seesaw my way into this one and talk about probably my most favorite composition, my favorite piece of artwork from him. And it was done for Final Fantasy 15. As you can see here, the water. And when I first saw this, I was like, okay, what's going on? What are we doing? And then I saw this and I was like, oh no, like, wow. As an appreciator of 3D and 2D, just seeing this marriage was mind-blowing. Just to appreciate his work. And I was like, man, probably the single most impressive thing on Final Fantasy 15, and I love Final Fantasy 15. But when I saw it, I was like, man, no wonder that's in a museum. But all I have to say, I do appreciate Amano's work. Like I said, I'm a huge advocate for Tetsuya, and Akihiko and another, other artists that have came from the crop. And so, but I can't deny his influence. I cannot deny his work and his contribution to fantasy art. I feel like he is a unique artist. A unique artist, in my opinion, is somebody who is not like anyone. A unique artist is someone that, and I define a unique artist as somebody who is different, taking inspirations from other things, but purposely being different, and not making yourself like a copy or anything like that. And I feel Amano is that person. Amano's work is just graceful, it's beautiful, and important. More importantly, important. And he cannot go unnoticed in this day and age. And I hope that he can continue drawing and doing what he does best. So that's it, guys. That's all. Thank you to my patrons for supporting me. I appreciate you guys, and thank you for watching. And I'll catch y'all later in the next one. Peace.